everybody that I knew had been blown up. You know what I mean? Like this is
Right.
2006, man. Like
Yeah, people get blown up. Yeah.
everybody had been, so I didn't think anything of it, man. But what happened during that time was the switch that happened during that time was number one, I had an undiagnosed and untreated traumatic brain injury, right? So mechanically, I had something was off. My decision making had gotten affected, and then emotionally, man, I was absolutely shattered. Because again, it was in my mind, you know what I mean. Especially in where I worked at the unit, like everybody on the Army side of the house, anyway, looked at us as like big brother. Like, man, if those guys are around, like, hey, we're okay.
We're good. Yeah.
And so everywhere I'm around, so I took that on. I love that. You know what I mean? I want to be my brother's keeper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to, you know,
Instill confidence.
yeah, man, all of that stuff. And every time I was around them, they were just getting their asses handed to them, you know? It was always indirect fire or something that I couldn't have affected. But anyway, I had this, it's not really twisted thinking, but I had this unrealistic expectation that I was going to be able to protect these guys in a war zone, you know? Because, I mean, I'm a believer, you know? And so then when that happened, and it's like, hey, man, for the third time, you know, I failed to protect that which matters most, which in country, my loyalty chain is American soldiers, not my family, you know? So now what do I do when I failed to protect that which matters most to me, the humans, you know, where either I'm going to quit, which I'm not going to, obviously didn't quit, or I'm going to double down. And from that moment on, it became very personal. I was still professional.
Let's say we went from this professional, this is job, this is personal now.
To the personal, whereas so in my mindset is that if I can't keep them safe by what I've been doing, you know, meaning American soldiers, you know, in country, it's like, well, then the more bad guys they eliminate, then they won't have the opportunity to get them. So that's where the switch happened for me. And then and I was in a good way for the mission, right? Was ate up with it. I was doing everything from on the targeting aspect to doing the hit to doing the battlefield interrogation to then setting up another target to doing the hit. To, you know what I mean? Even I'd be back at Bragg running target sets just because of the connectivity, you know, that we had as far as helping out the deployed guys. And so I just got into this continuous operational set, man.
Would you say that, so that you're talking about that on an individual level for you, but watching, you know, things progress from your first involvement from 2002 all the way to 2011, would you say that also not on just an individual level became a cultural shift in the unit where multiple people started to feel the culture of the unit started to have that it became personal?
It did. Yeah, because we had lost buddies, you know, by this time. We all had been a part of a lot of combat, you know, real war, you know, real up close, personal, you know, a lot of extreme violence. You know, and again, I just speak for myself. And but so to answer say is like, yeah, it was started opening up. But for myself, what happened is, and what I learned in retrospect, not in then, is that my humanity was being affected, right? Because I believed in the mission, I believed in taking bad guys out and killing bad guys. You know what I mean? And because that bought us time, and it saved Iraqi lives, 100%. You know, if a dump truck bomb goes off and kills 4,000 people and wounds 10,000, if you don't make any more dump truck bombs going off.
Yeah,
do the math.
Lives.
You're saving lives. Yeah. And so it was real, a real mission. And but every time, you know what I mean, it was a chip. And I never had a problem killing people that were on the list.
Yeah,
it never bothered me at all. I didn't, like I said, I was very professional about it. Like, hey, intel's right. Hey, you're a bad guy. We're on an even playing field. Hey, there's no refs out here, but we're on the mat. You know what I mean? And no one's stopping it. You're gonna win, or I'm gonna win. And that's how it's going to be. And, but every time, you know what I mean, there's a lot of things that happened, and it's where I really started learning later on about the moral injury, how I learned how to define that, is there was things that like let's say guys that got killed, guys that we killed on a target, you know what I mean, that was part of a dump truck bomb, suicide or bomber network, you know what I mean? The only way to destroy that network is to destroy that network. The guys that brought over the suicide vest, the guys that have the dump truck, you know what I mean? Every piece of it, you break it down, and you have to destroy every element of that for it to actually buy you some time, you know? So a lot of times there's these guys that were getting killed or captured that was very far removed from the actual fight, but they were a critical piece of the puzzle. Say like this ancient smuggler route, you know, where for all of time they've been using this route. Now they're just using it for suicide bombers and stuff. And so I understand the difference between a regret, right? If you had asked me, like, Tom, if you could go back and do something different, would you do it differently? Would you not do what you did? If I say yes, then it's a regret.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I understand that, you know,
Right.
I have regrets in my life. But the ones that were really hanging me up is like, hey, Tom, if you could go back and do this differently, would you? And I'd be like, hell no.
Yeah.
I'd do it 1,000 times more. And for some reason, it bothers me really bad. But
Because you know you wouldn't change it.
right,
Yeah.
right. So it was this loop. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, it's not a regret. I support the decision and the actions taken, but it just bothers me. But that's what I learned about it was a moral injury. You know, I'm not a sociopath or psychopath. You know what I mean? If I was a sociopath, it wouldn't bother me forever. You know.
Right.
But the thing is I'm a good-hearted, decent human being. And to take another human being's life, you know what I mean, is probably the most extreme thing that you
Somebody's
you can,
son,
you can
father,
do.
brother.
All of that stuff, you know.
And while they're evil, they most of the time
They're human.
They believe that they were doing
Same as us.
right. They're same as that. They believe they were doing the right thing, right?
But that's how I viewed them, man. Is like this guy is at our target set, right? At our tier set level. Like those guys, to make it to that level, they had to do what I had to do to get to that level. They're the best of the best, and the most seasoned and everything. And so it was always looking at them as equals.
Yeah.
And so, but then but that's what I learned about, and where I began to reconcile those kind of things is that everybody kept calling it post-traumatic stress, you know, and regret, you know, you shouldn't have. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
What it was is that war in and of itself is awful. You know what I mean? Is like the things that happen in war, like for a human being to make a decision to take another human being's life is not in anything other than war.
Yeah. And you said it earlier, and you said perfectly, like, we were never created to do that.
No.
It's necessary that, you know, brave men and women are willing to do the right thing and stand up against evil and extinguish evil by taking human life. But we were never created to do it. And so because we weren't created to do this, there's consequences internally to us.
Yeah. And that's but the cool thing that, you know, and I even got these lessons from the World War II vets, from the Korea War vets, from the Vietnam vets, when I was sober during all these times, because I was around all these different heroes, you know, and different events, and I watched them struggle. You know, I've watched, you know, when I was in the 82nd, the 45th anniversary of D-Day, and I was in St. Mary, Greece, France, you know, with the guys that are like, I landed right over there, broke my leg, I crawled underneath the rubber, and then I fought for like those guys. Like I'm sitting with them at John Steele's pub, you know what I mean? And I'd watch them during the day. You know what I mean? Like they're talking, they're telling stories, everything's good. And then usually the drinks start flowing a little bit, you know what I mean? And then I watch them come apart. I watch them get in the fetal position and just coming undone, man. Like I've done that. So I'm not judging.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And I just learned. And at that time I was 25 years old, you know what I mean? And I'm like, when what kept going in my mind is like, this doesn't go away. Like this doesn't go away. And then from every generation, be it the 173rd reunion, you know, in Sacramento, California, in 96, you know what I mean? As a 26-year-old young sergeant, you know what I mean? Those were the heroes on heroes. There's guys with like 4 stars on their jump wings and, you know what I mean? And all this stuff, more missing body parts in one room than probably the rest of the planet. And then what's happening with them, if they're getting all screwed up and getting sideways and it's like, it doesn't go away. So, I mean, I learned that this must be addressed. It must be a mind, body, spirit, like you added the social piece, you know? And so there is no just walking away from this.